Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And I have a press release that just occurred in the last 24 hours that I really want to talk about because it has a lot to do with XRP. And I need to set it up a little bit because Elliptic, which is about a company that uses AI and machine learning to trace and locate suspicious transactions. It was back in September that SBI Holdings led a $23 million round of funding for them. Santander also participated. And James Smith, the CEO of Elliptic, said that they, along with SBI, are going to capture the Asian market. And that is also when we heard from the SBI executive. He is Tomoyuki Nii. He is with the SBI investment arm of SBI Holdings. He said that SBI has ambitious plans to build an XRP ecosystem, and Elliptic is the best blockchain sleuthing firm when it comes to XRP. Elliptic can trace XRP the best in terms of anti-money laundering. And if I go to an article that was written by Coinbase, this is very interesting because the Ripple ledger carries a high volume of data on-chain because of the way the market makers are built into the system, and leads to lots of information about bids and offers on trades. So there's a huge amount of data in that blockchain, and it's probably the biggest blockchain by data. So much information is recorded on it. It is usually used in slightly different ways to some of the other cryptocurrencies, as in there are more financial institutions like SBI who are using it as part of their business operations, said Smith. Now, Tomoyuki Nii of SBI said that the goal was to see that XRP was showcased as a global cryptocurrency at the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, adding that at the time of the Tokyo Olympics, there'll be a lot of people coming to Japan and they will be shopping and traveling around, so they will be able to use XRP in a secure way, protected by the platform like Elliptic. All right, so now I want to take you to the actual press release, and you can see that what they announced is this new portion of their service called Discovery, and it's for banks, and it can identify flows and funds in and out and assess the risk. So the detailed profiles of over 200 global cryptocurrencies are what banks can use to manage their risk and meet stringent regulatory requirements. It's brilliant because banks using XRP will know a lot of detailed information related to the anti-money laundering. And also, in addition to that, have information about regulatory status, compliance policies, and even the provenance of the digital asset handled. So the concerns related to terrorist funding, fraud, or other financial crimes, this is the solution to make XRP safe for the banks to use. I love this announcement. Okay, I am going to talk about this really quick. JP Morgan Blockchain Payments Network eyes January Japan launch. I have seen so many YouTubers who are not necessarily in the XRP community, and they just don't understand what they're reading, and they just read the headline, and I am so sorry that all this misinformation goes out again. Let me explain to you what this JP Morgan Blockchain Payments Network is, okay? Let's go right to the actual JP Morgan site. So they are building an interbank information sharing portal, if you will. It's powered by Quorum. It's permission variant of the Ethereum blockchain, and it was developed by JP Morgan, and sometimes it's referred to as the IIN, and it allows member banks to exchange information in real time. This is not a payment settlement tool at all. They are just sharing information as a way to verify that the payment has been approved. So historically, we all know that correspondents in their banking systems, the way they communicate is one way. And what this network allows, which is free right now, and it has been said that eventually the people who are in this network are going to have to pay to be in this network, but they are making it free to, of course, get lots of people to sign up in the beginning. And it's not just people, I'm talking about the banks that are within the JP Morgan network, okay? And when the payment detail is flagged for confirmation, well, then they can, of course, share that information and it gets approved for payment. So this is not anything of what Ripple technology is doing, nor is it anything in regards to a bridge asset that functions for the actual cross-border remittances, which XRP does. Okay, that's enough of that. This is the flywheel set in motion. Well, I know a lot of you have watched other YouTubers talk about it. It's interesting, I guess. It's 20 pages long, and basically the flywheel is being used as an analogy for the pace of blockchain and the adoption. And for the flywheel to spin faster, it requires expediting the implementation. All right, everybody kind of knows that. When I see flywheel, I just have to show you this, because in 1977, I used to drive a Volkswagen Rabbit. And because of the maybe it's the way I drove, but I actually cracked the flywheel and totally, completely ruined the clutch. So I just laugh at myself, because every time I hear the word flywheel, I think of that little white rabbit that I used to drive. Okay, so that flywheel report was put together by Alenka Graylish, and she's a senior analyst in corporate banking of Celent. And Celent is really, yeah, it's really good quality stuff. But what I really found most important, which is, I think a lot of people failed to really look at some of the links that were provided in regards to attaining or coming to the assumptions in this particular report. Actually, it was on page 4, and it references the trust of financial services, which is ranked very, very low. And this comes from a customer confidence report where it's really very shaky. It's a 2019 Edelman Trust Barometer. And I found this to be much, much more interesting. It's an online survey where they had 33,000 respondents. And, well, it took place from October 9th to November 16th, 2018. And I know I don't want to just bore you with all those statistics. As you all know, I just eat it like Kit Kats. But you can see here in the percent trust in financial services that Germany had no year-to-year change, but in terms of trust, they trust financial services the least. In terms of percentage, only 38%. The global average trust is up 2% at 57%. And on the side where there's a lot of trust, you have India, Indonesia, and China. They have the highest trust. And just one more I want to look at, and that's cryptocurrency. Look at this. Cryptocurrency is distrusted in most markets. The least amount of trust is Germany, Russia, and the Netherlands. Oh no, not the Netherlands. The highest amount of trust comes from Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, and China. Anyway, I am going to put a link to this in the description below, because there is a lot of really good information. There's 39 pages of it, and each page has a particular different outline of the market and how people feel. I just love this kind of stuff. Here's the mobile wallets. So Ireland, Germany, and France have the least amount of trust. And yeah, there's Indonesia, India, and China again, where the United States is pretty much sitting right at the neutral zone at 52%. Okay, moving right along. I want to look at regulation because, I think that utility is important, the corridors are important, but regulation is important too. This is a quick regulation change update. In a proposal regarding remittance transfers, there is a rule change that's being led by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and they want to amend the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Act. Okay, that is a reform that was put through for consumer protection, and it will allow estimates for remittance fees. The actual disclosure of the fees is going to change. Instead of disclosing the exact amount when you do a remittance, the old law said that if you do, 100 or less per year, then you can just estimate the fees. And the Bureau of Consumer Protection now, they get their funding, by the way, from the Federal Reserve. They make that formal request via a letter. Here is the letter that they sent out for their 2020 budget. Yes, they requested $223 million. Wow. And now they want to raise this amount from, if you do 100 or less remittances, to 500. So if you do 500 or less, the proposal is you don't have to give an exact amount of fees. You can just estimate. And I don't know, if you agree or you disagree with this, you have until January 21st, 2020 to make a comment. I'm going to put the link to this official Federal Registrar where you can submit a formal comment by email. And if you have any strong comment, yeah, please leave it. But what I really think we need to look at is the SEC Jay Clayton. He testified before the Senate Banking Committee just in the last, it's been about 48 hours now. And at that 28-minute mark, everybody was taking a clip out of this and sharing it on Twitter. And I will tell you that they didn't do a very good job at really including the whole question, because it makes it sound like Jay Clayton is answering the question where he's talking about something that has already gone digital for their modernization of their plumbing. But yeah, and doesn't want to name the product. But in actuality, when you listen to this, and I have listened to it many times just to make sure that I am listening correctly, when you listen to the part, he was talking specifically about Libra. And then a lot of people were talking about, oh, he's talking about the plumbing. That's exactly what Brad Garlinghouse always talks about. Well, I have to say that the SEC has been using this plumbing to describe the backside of the effort to modernize their technical aspects has been used. Well, I could find an article that goes all the way back to 2010. So I just hate to tell you, but it doesn't have anything to do with what Brad Garlinghouse said. And in the unnamed product, making it sound like they're talking about Ripple or XRP is just not the case. He was specifically talking about the product Libra. And I think when you actually listen to this, and I'll put a link to it in the description below, it's really the important part, in my opinion, was when he talked about, when he was asked actually who and how are they going to regulate? Because when you look at the US, they are needing to set the rules for the road, and they have to, of course, pay close and careful attention to this. And the Senate oversees the SEC, and they are really now being pushed strongly for regulation. So in my opinion, that is the biggest takeaway from this particular Senate hearing. Okay, I am jumping to a tweet that I did just about 2 hours ago where I talked ODL, on-demand liquidity, is on the rise. The Philippine corridor has more than doubled in volume in the last 4 days. And I know, not to point out anything to make someone look bad, but there are a lot of people says, yeah, but it doesn't affect the price. Okay, I'm gonna just try to. It seems like I am broken record on this one. So it is going to take 30 to 50 corridors that Naveen Gupta said are the target, okay, before I believe that we're going to see the piles of XRP held by either exchanges, FIs, or market makers. And those are the piles that David talked about when he answered a question about the relationship of the XRP utility and price. And he answered that and said that when we have these piles of XRP all over, to actually provide that on-demand liquidity, it will have a significant impact on demand. So we're only 1 year into this, and since the production of ODL now is still fairly new, I would say, the fact that we are seeing this increase of volume is just because we're watching it build. And I'm just really with a glass half full, not half empty. And I want to show you that volume here for the Philippine corridor. And you can see that, wow, it's not even the end of this day. And you can see for the 12th, it's just really, the current index is just looking quite nice. And while we're looking at the corridor ODL, we're going to look at the Mexican XRP Bitso the corridor for the Mexican peso on Bitso. And you can see here that it too just keeps on climbing. And this day hasn't yet finished, but the all-time high was yesterday at 7,814,746 going across that volume, which we know when MoneyGram talked about it, this is still just a very small percentage of what they actually send. So when they ramp up from that 10% of that usage for that corridor to 30%, 50%, 75%, and gosh, wouldn't it be just amazing if they do 100%? These are going to be just off the charts. Okay, let me just keep going to just a little something here. I was on the XRP Army News website, and for their interview, I did this. When did I do this? I did this yesterday in the morning. Yeah, so I did it after about an hour after I woke up. He got me pretty early in the morning, but I felt very comfortable with Christopher Knight, and he asked me a few questions, and I was kind of surprised. I was so relaxed with my answers. So if you want to watch this, I will put a link to it down below. And also, On the Chain is going to have a roundtable with Crypto Ginger and myself, and they'll do it at about, I think it's going to be uploaded around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. And so I'll be participating in that roundtable on Sunday morning. Yeah, bright and early. Okay, everybody, we're jumping to the fluff. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time, but I do want to tell you that today was a big day in Japan, and that is the kanji character best representing 2019 was chosen. And what the kanji character is Rei, and it's part of, we are in the era now of Reiwa. And Rei, the first kanji, means beautiful or graceful. And people sent in by postcard what they thought was the best kanji character to represent 2019, and it received 30,427 votes. And it is unveiled with the top priest at the temple called Kiyomizu Temple, and that's in Kyoto. It was founded in 780, and the present structures are actually from 1633. It's on the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the Kiyomizu literally means pure water, and it comes actually from a waterfall that you find within the complex, and if you hold out and capture some of that water, it's believed that you're going to have your wish come true. And what I just really want to point out is the beautiful, beautiful colors that were used in the Heian period. So just think, just before the year 1000, these were the colors that were used in Japan. I just find the combination amazingly beautiful. Now, the funny thing is about this is in the Edo period, people used to jump off this deck. This is what, gosh, I forget how tall it is. Sorry, I can't remember how tall it is. It's quite tall. There were 234 recorded jumps, and 85% of those who jumped survived. But the government put a stop to that jumping business in 1872. So it is one of the temples that I think if you go to Kyoto, it's probably one of the top 3, and chances are you will visit it if you are a tourist there, and I hope you do. I've been there twice. 3 times? 3 times. I think it's 3 times. Actually, 2 times I climbed up to the very, very top, and the one time I didn't climb up to the top. At the top, there are 2 stones, 60 feet apart, and young people, it's really, really cute, close their eyes, and blindfolded, not blindfolded, but by closing their eyes, they can't see. They start at the one stone and they try to walk without any guidance to the stone that's in front of them, 60 feet. And of course, as you know, when you walk with your eyes closed, it's very hard to walk a straight line. So people are wandering to the left and sometimes to the right, but those who are able to walk straight ahead and walk to the stone, they are believed to be able to find true love. So that's just fun to watch. If you make it to the very top of that temple, there's that other shrine up above. Okay, everybody. Yeah, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.